Thank you for joining us today for this live training. And if you're watching the recording here on the topic of the working genius, igniting your genius, the working genius pathway for future ready educators. Appreciate you joining us and watching this for some professional development and growth this summer. I will be your host. I'm Taylor Siebert with the Future Ready Educators community and CEO and founder of Strive. I've got some slides here we're going to run through. I'm really excited and passionate about this topic. And when I first learned about Working Genius, it was over a year ago. And it is an assessment that can help you kind of assess what your working genius is. And we'll get into the details of that. Took it a year ago, had our team take it, and really forgot about it for about a year until this last spring. And was at a conference and reminded myself of it and how important it could help our team in different conversations and me individually as well. And I always wondered why I did certain things the way I did them. And it's kind of relieved me of some guilt in the way I do things and enabling and helping my team support me, in our business and our organization. And I'm really passionate about sharing that with educators. And I think it could be a really great resource for you guys as well. So stay tuned till the end. You'll be getting an email with a discount code. It's a very affordable assessment. And then would love to follow up with you to see what your working geniuses are and how that can look for this upcoming school year, and stay tuned. And so I've got some exciting things for you. So let me go ahead and share my screen and our slides. And again, the recording will be available for you here. But again, we're going to be diving into the working genius, what all is involved with that, what it is. But first, I want to share and introduce you to Laura, who's a fictional teacher here, but pretend with me for a little bit. Laura is a high school teacher who's been struggling with burnout. She's desperate to rediscover her passion for education and escape the Sunday night dread, which I've heard from educators is real. Can she turn things around? Well, join us here in this workshop and this training to find out. As a devoted educator, Laura knew she once loved her job, but the pressures and demands of teaching really started to take a toll on her. She was desperate to find her purpose again, and that's when she stumbled upon the Working Genius Assessment. The Working Genius Assessment uncovered her geniuses, her natural gifts, her competencies, skills she's good at, and her frustration, which is tasks that drain her. And it's a tool that she used to help her understand her unique strengths and where it fits into her career. So we'll come back to Laura, but remember that. And maybe you can relate to Laura here. But I want to introduce the model, right? Patrick Lencioni is the one that created this. They're part of the Table Group. He's written several books. One of them is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. You maybe heard of him, maybe not. But work is a really broad term that applies to pretty much everything that's a part of our life, right? Even beyond what we formally call your job, right? And the majority of our waking hours involve some type of work. So that's why this is really transformational. And each of you, through this model, has what's considered 2 working geniuses that I just described. 2 areas that are considered working frustrations, and we talked about the competencies, and that are kind of in the middle, where you're not completely miserable, but you don't find joy in that work as well. So that's the model. So we're going to run through that today. And we're going to look at some different ways it can help you in your classroom, some different applications. And obviously, this will make a lot more sense for you once you take the assessment, which again, we have a discount code for you. It's $25. We've got a 20% discount code that you'll get in your email later today to take the assessment. And so to see where you're at. And maybe as we're going through this, you're already like, oh, I'm probably here or there. Don't think of this like other personality tests as well. This is how you work. This is how you find joy in your work. It's not putting you in a box, right? I've talked to some other people around, the Enneagram or the Gallup Strength Finders. Those are all awesome things. I'm a big fan of those. But this really just unlocked for me how I work and how I can explain to my team how I work and how we complement each other. And I'll share a little bit about that here in just a second. If you're just joining us, though, I want to encourage you to put it into the chat where you're from and what school or organization you're with. That would be awesome to collaborate. And if you're watching the recording, you can go ahead and comment down below as well. So there's 6 working geniuses. All of them work, their gears, they all work together. And any project that happens that you do or any task involves a lot of these different gears. But each person only has 2 working geniuses. And so the first one is wonder. And this is in the ideation phase. So when you're wondering, you're asking questions. We're going to dive deep into each working genius here. Then there's invention, and you see the arrows because all of these gears are moving together when you're working on a project or doing a task. So that's the ideation phase, is when we're wondering and we're inventing. Discernment and galvanizing are in the activation phase. So we're actually taking the questions and the ideas that we generated and we're starting to discern, is that a good idea? Is this a good thing that we should be doing? Do we have clear direction? Galvanizing. So this is part where we're actually taking action and rallying the troops. Enablement and tenacity are part of the implementation stage of work. So there's 3 stages of work: ideation, activation, implementation, and you can see how they all work together, and it coincidentally spells out widget. And so there's six areas that are required, whether you're working on launching a product, organizing something for a nonprofit, or you're planning a vacation. I have personally taken this, and I'll share my working geniuses after we go through them all. I also had my wife take it, which was fantastic. I always wondered certain things that were happening in our conversations, which I'll share with you. And now it makes a lot of sense. Each of you has God-given ability to get joy and energy from 2 types of work. And because we love that kind of work, we usually gravitate towards that and are pretty good at it. And I always wondered why I kept gravitating towards my working genius. And now it's really unlocked for me to lean more into that and not to feel guilty for not having some of the other areas. Again, this is not trying to put you into a box here. It's to hopefully help you and communicate with those around you. So let's dive into each of these. The genius of wonder is the natural gift of pondering the possibility of greater potential and opportunity in any given situation. People with this genius are constantly curious and looking for what could be improved. So on our team, and what's really fun is when you actually have your whole team take this. And so if you're at a school, maybe, it'd be really neat to have all of your teachers take this to see similarities and where there's gaps and why there's frustration sometimes when you guys are doing professional development as a group or when you're working with other teachers. But for a long time, we didn't have someone with wonder on our team, but Danielle, who's on our team now, has wonder. And it totally made sense why she was always asking questions. She's been with us for over a year. And she took the assessment, and we discovered that her natural gift is to ponder the possibility of greater potential. And she asked really great questions. And now it's empowered her on our team to ask those questions. Now, that doesn't mean I can't ask questions. Eric on our team can't ask questions. It just means that Danielle finds joy in asking questions, and we want to use her and utilize her, but others can still wonder. It just maybe is a little bit frustrating. It doesn't come natural to them. And so that's been really fun for us to have her on our team, and it allows us to lean into her strengths. The next one, and again, we're in the ideation phase. So we're asking questions of, hey, what would this look like in our product or our training? What would this look like in the classroom? And the next one is genius of invention, the natural gift of creating original and novel ideas and solutions. People who have this love to generate new ideas and solutions to problems and are comfortable coming up with something out of nothing. This is one of my working geniuses. For a long time, I wondered why we were starting so many different things. And they were sometimes working and sometimes they weren't working. But I have the working genius of invention. So now that I know that, and the team knows it, they know that Taylor loves coming up with new ideas. Every conversation we have, I'm thinking up of new ideas. Ideas are not a struggle for me to come up with. However, I've recognized that I need to not always be coming up with new ideas with those around me. I need to process those ideas. Unfortunately for me, discernment is actually a working frustration. So I have lots of ideas and I want to start and activate those because I also have galvanizing right away. And so it's a really fun combo, but it also is pretty dangerous. And so my wife has discernment. So for years I wondered, we've been married, this will be 16 years this summer. I wondered, why is she always shooting down my amazing ideas that I have in my head? The instant I get them, I'm sharing them with her, and she's immediately shooting them down and asking questions. And I realized she's got the working genius of discernment, and it's helped our marriage because now I understand she's discerning. She's trying to provide some feedback on the idea and telling me, hey, this isn't really a great idea. However, she doesn't have the gift, a genius of invention. So coming up with new ideas is a frustration for her. So we're complete opposites, which is awesome, but also can be very frustrating, as you can imagine. And so now I've realized that for our team. And so if you're putting yourself maybe a principal or superintendent, or maybe you have this as a teacher once you take it, and you're always coming up with new ideas, and other teachers are like, "Oh my gosh, this teacher is driving me nuts because they just want to start new things all the time." Well, now if you know that, you can understand that, and me as the person with invention understands that I can appreciate others who don't have that, and I don't always have to be sharing my new ideas with them all the time. So this is a really fun one. So now we're moving out of ideation. So this is we're creating new things into activation. So discernment, like I said, I don't have that. My wife does. We actually don't have someone on our team currently, um, on our leadership team with the genius of discernment. So we really struggle with this. It's the natural gift of intuitively and instinctively evaluating ideas and situations to see if they're good or not. People with this type of genius have a natural ability when it comes to evaluating or assessing a given idea or situation and providing guidance. So, as you can imagine, I love coming up with ideas, but I don't have intuition I don't have an instinct of whether this is really going to, take off or not. I can come up with the ideas, but I want to test them right away because it is frustrating for me because I don't have discernment. Those that do, work really well with wonder and invention, right? This is the activation, like, okay, now we've come up with this idea, let's discern. And then we go into galvanizing, let's start to activate and start this project or do this thing at the school. And the next one is galvanizing, the natural gift of rallying and inspiring and organizing others to take action. People who have it enjoy bringing energy and movement to an idea or decision. So if you can imagine, for me, I'm galvanizing an invention, or the is the combo. I come up with the idea and then immediately want to rally and inspire and organize others to take action with that idea. Can be really frustrating for our team because they are trying to discern this, and then most of our team has enablement and tenacity, which are the next two. They're like, okay, awesome, you're moving way too fast. Where do I fit into this project? And so for a school, you can imagine, maybe the superintendent has galvanizing and he or she is trying to rally the troops, but you know, there's other steps that are required to that. But this is also important, I think, in leadership, to have someone who has galvanizing. Someone who doesn't may be a struggle to really inspire your staff, right? And so you can now recognize that maybe your principal, this is a frustration, and that's why it's always been a struggle for the principal to get everyone on the same page and bring energy to these new initiatives, because it's a frustration for him or her. And so that's the activation part. Really important to understand that. Again, everyone can do all of these, but it's what naturally comes to them where they find joy in this. And then the implementation stage is the genius of enablement, which is provide a natural gift of providing encouragement and assistance for an idea or project. So you've got the idea, you've got the person rallying the troops. This is the person who goes, "Let me know." They're the first person to volunteer. I want to. I'm all in on this. Just tell me which way to go. For someone on our team, Eric, he says, "I'm on the boat. I just need to know which way to row this boat." And so he's got people with this type of genius are quick to respond to the needs of others by offering their cooperation and help with a project, program, or effort. I would guess a lot of teachers, And I'm trying to build up a library of getting to know more teachers. But I'm guessing a lot of teachers have enablement. I've tested this with some principals and some other folks, and it's been pretty consistent that the folks that have taken this in education have the genius of enablement, which makes a ton of sense. What that other one is I think really key. And the last one then is tenacity. So again, we're in implementation. Tell me where I can help with this, and then tenacity is really important. And we have a couple people on our team that have enablement and tenacity. So they're waiting for the idea and the direction, and they are the ones executing on these projects and finishing them, right? So tenacity is that person who's got the genius to push for required standards of excellence and live to see the impact of their work. They want to complete these, and they want to see the results of the projects they're doing. So, all right, I'm going to go to looks like, oh, okay, Nolan, thank you for commenting there. So that's a description of the working genius and the model in each working genius. All right. So what it's really doing is helping you, like I mentioned at the beginning, is identifying your natural talents, right? Not necessarily strengths, but the talents that you've been given, right? The God-given talents, and getting a deeper understanding of yourself, and having more confidence, hopefully after taking this from an education standpoint in your teaching, right? It's self-awareness, which can open up a ton of avenues, which can help with work-life balance. Hopefully, we'll reduce some stress, right? Why am I always frustrated? Well, it's because I'm always having to galvanize and finish projects for others with tenacity. Those are working frustrations. This doesn't mean you get a cop out, right? Oh, I don't. This is a working frustration. I only do my working genius. That's not the case, right? I still have to finish projects and use tenacity, which is a competency with me. It's in the middle. Um, and discernment and wonder, actually frustrations for me. It doesn't mean I don't do those things. It just means it's probably going to cause a little bit of stress. And hopefully, if I'm doing more of my working genius, I can increase my satisfaction in my work, right? And we can hopefully foster a more personalized teaching style by recognizing and harnessing your natural talents. So this hopefully uncovers those natural talents for you. You can lean more into those, and if you're like Laura, our fictional teacher here, we're going to get to finishing her story and how she took this and then started having conversations with others about it. So once you uncover it, it's one thing, you're not keeping it to yourself. You want to share it with others. Hey, I really enjoy galvanizing. How can I uncover that more and lean more into those natural talents? And hopefully, then this leads to transforming your approach to teaching. Not that it's what you're doing is bad, but you can lean more into those natural talents, and it directly influences your teaching style by understanding them more, and you can be more intentional in your teaching methodologies. Maybe you lost that a little bit, and you can leverage the strengths to make your lesson plans more effective and efficient based on your working genius. And you can develop strategies that are tailored to individual strengths to increase student engagement and learning outcomes. And we'll get to some applications there. So I truly believe if it's helping our organization that works with schools, why not use this in schools with teaching, right? We're struggling to get teachers. There's teacher shortage. We're struggling with morale and people exiting the teaching education industry. Why is that? Well, let's really look at some of the pain points, and let's try to foster, a more an environment that gets people in the right seat. And that might mean shifting some things the way you do them a little bit, and we'll get to that. And so specifically, we're talking about teachers here, but I think a lot of this conversation is for administrators, in my opinion. But we'll get to that, and that's some future training we can get to. I think it can help create a more dynamic and engaging classroom environment, right? Because you're more authentic and you're more passionate by using your natural talents, right? Instead of having to do things that really drain you, that's going to reflect and have an effect on the students and their learning, right? And you can model by identifying and leveraging your personal strengths, by creating a culture that values individuality and growth and for each student, right? Maybe you have your students take this. I know there's a bit of a cost, but it could really help your classroom depending on, what the class is. And engaging classrooms emerge when teachers feel empowered in their roles and can ignite curiosity and excitement in their students. I think we can all agree with that. And that's why I love the digital media class, the entrepreneurship class, the technology class, is because it really ignites curiosity. Nothing against the other core classes. I think there's some things that can be pulled from that, but that's why everything I'm doing with Strive and what we're doing with Future Ready Educators is based on my learning experience, being very test based with a student like myself who was a visual learner and wanted to use their hands to create things using digital media, right? And that's how I learned. And getting teachers to lean more into that, and identifying those teachers who have those same types of learning styles to create a dynamic and engaging classroom environment, I think is really important. And I think once you understand your working genius and competency and frustration, it can really open up the classroom in ways you've never thought about. So as we look to applying this, these are going to go through the six working geniuses and maybe some examples of applying this in your role. So if you have wonder, if your strength lies in wonder, you may really love to and excel at sparking curiosity in students and creating an atmosphere of exploration and discovery. So create more inquiry-based lesson plans that encourage questions and deep thinking, right? And maybe you don't do that now, and this unlocks for you, oh yeah, I love asking questions. Why don't I have my students do that? And that's going to give me more joy in my lesson plans and in my work in the classroom. Probably if you're an entrepreneurship teacher or in the business, or um, if you've got the genius of invention, you could really use the innovative ideas to design even unique lesson plans and incorporate new technology or cross-curricular projects that capture students' interest and cultivate creativity, right? We talk about the four C's all the time. Using your working genius of invention in your classroom. And that could be any class. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurship or digital media or technology class, but those tend to be attracted to the invention side quite often. But I think in math, you could totally do that and incorporate math into business and thinking about partnering with the math teacher, with the business teacher, because the business teacher wants to teach students about finances more and integrate that into the math classes, right? How do we invent and come up with new ideas to get students to engage in their learning and spark new interests? Discernment is your natural talent. You excel at making informed decisions and understanding complex ideas. Maybe you could integrate some critical thinking exercises into your lessons and guiding students to develop their own discernment skills, right? Maybe for students, there's a frustration there, or it really helps a student who has that. I think, and I haven't had my kids, they're in elementary, but I think a high school student can take this and maybe then they discover that they have the working genius of discernment because you allowed them to explore that through some critical thinking exercises. Again, these are very basic applications, but just to spark something, maybe an idea for you as you discover what yours are, how you can help integrate this into your classroom. And then the last three, if galvanizing is your strength, your working genius, you really thrive on getting students rallied around and getting enthusiasm around projects and getting momentum going and keeping them motivated through the learning process. So I actually am going to get the chance this fall to be in my local school where I help coach. I'm going to actually be helping because of some a teacher leaving and a new teacher can't come in yet for semester. I'm going to be helping with our digital media class. So for sure, I'm going to keep kids motivated, and I'm going to use our curriculum that we have available for our school's digital media curriculum in the classroom. And I'm really excited, and hopefully I don't scare all the kids, to use galvanizing to motivate them and to push them a little bit. That's how I use galvanizing, and is to push them to their edge a little bit, so that they can really have an authentic learning experience. If you have enablement, you're going to be very supportive and excellent at fostering a sense of community in your classroom. Again, I think most teachers probably have this. If you don't, that's fine. But we want an inclusive, safe, supportive learning environment where students are feeling valued and encouraged to participate. Phenomenal working genius to have in the classroom. Like I said, I'm guessing most teachers have that. And then tenacity is probably really great to have, is you're going to have determination and resilience. So maybe teaching students the value of perseverance and finishing the work, how to face challenges with courage, and cultivating resilience in them, right? Like, you've got a deadline when this project is due. We've got to finish this project, right? I was in yearbook in high school my senior year, and I always joke and tell this to students. I was in the yearbook because of a girl I liked, not because I wanted to be a better journalist. And now I regret that. I wish I would have learned how to write better and taken that class much more serious than I did, because I had to come in 2 weeks after I graduated to actually finish the basketball spread that I delayed all spring because I had senioritis and I was lazy and I didn't have tenacity. And I wish my teacher, she was awesome. She's still a great friend. She, I think, did have tenacity, but she was probably pretty frustrated with me but she said, "Hey, you got to come in." And so after I graduated, I had to come in for 2 weeks to finish up that yearbook. And what a great lesson for me as I look back and regret that I have of not taking advantage of the time that I was given in class to get that done. And so those are great learning experiences, whether you realize it when you're 17 or 18 or not, compared to now when I'm 38 and going, gosh dang, that was dumb. I should have been better in that situation. But here we are. We all survived. The yearbook got out, and it's still fun to look at. So hopefully this helps you refine your role in education by going through this and understanding and then applying these natural talents that you have, and move beyond the traditional education roles, and hopefully impact this evolving, changing landscape in education, right? And empower you to drive change and create a more personalized and effective learning environment for your students. All right, these are all buzzwords, but I really truly believe if you understand who you are a little bit more, not necessarily why you're in education, this is like about you and how you can refine yourself in this current state of education amongst all the pressures and noise, that you can focus on you so you can be better for your students, right? And that's what the Future Ready Educators community is to encourage and inspire you to be innovative, collaborate with others, to remain student centered, and so that you can become not just a teacher, but a facilitator, a motivator, an innovator, so we can shape future ready students. And this is a picture of me of a workshop that we did this spring with a couple different schools at Aurora called Designing Our Future, a problem solving workshop. And I'd love to, if you're interested in that, to share that model with you so that you can test that out in your schools. Really, really cool conversations, and getting students to solve problems that are in their school or in their community. The investment. So we view this as an investment in your professional growth, right? Professional development, by uncovering these, understanding these, so you can equip yourself with new tools, enhance your teaching practices, and really benefit your career, whether you go to another school or you leave education, whatever that is. This is going to stick with you the entire time. And as we know, as educators, you're always learning, wanting to learn. You're lifelong learners, and we embody that at Strive and with the Future Ready Educators community, and honing in on those skills, encouraging innovation and thinking differently, and staying up to date. Again, in this evolving educational landscape with things changing all the time, we view this as kind of a foundation that can really help you grow. And the investment for this for the Working Genius assessment is not, we're not talking a lot, right? You can couple Starbucks coffees later, and you can have this. So it's we'll talk about that here in a second. And again, emphasizing the commitment to enhancing education. What we're trying to do here and encouraging you to do is having that students centric approach. And this working genius and identifying these can help you remain focused on that, right? How do I remain focused on my students and not get caught up in the noise, and helping transform education? And that happens by helping yourself, right? Better yourself so you can contribute, um, as we put here, a larger movement toward a more adaptive, inclusive, an individualized education system. That's what's happening, right? With AI and machine learning, there's going to be a lot of attacks on teachers, but there still needs to be a human involved in driving that, to have conversations. And how do we use those tools as things transform and prepare those students for tomorrow, not today? I was at a Future Ready Nebraska conference yesterday. That was I helped jumped in virtually, and they were talking about, to be future ready, we're not preparing students for today, June 14th it is, but for June 15th. How do we do that? And that starts with you as the teacher. So thank you for being on here, so that we can equip more teachers with this mindset and encourage, right? Build up that confidence. So let's talk about the assessment. We're almost done here. So this is a tool designed for you to help. So this is a screenshot of my assessment. You can see GI. They've actually redone the assessment, the PDF that you get. This is just one page. So it's going to break down what your working genius is, your competency, and your frustration. As you can see, galvanizing and invention are at the top, enablement and tenacity are in the middle for me, and then my frustrations are discernment and wonder. So it's also helped me to wonder more, even though it's a frustration to ask those questions. And so when you take it, you'll get your results sent to you. And I think, it's just really a great tool to have in your tool belt this summer, as you kind of think about your classroom, think about your role, and then encouraging other teachers to take this. You can share the discount code with them, share the training link with them, and then one of the things that's really neat is you now understand this. You can share it with others. That's what I'm doing. So I actually became certified now with Working Genius. So I took a certification in May. So I can now help facilitate conversations with teams and individuals and help you understand that. So I've been doing that for the last month with folks, is saying, hey, take this, let's talk about it. And, just kind of, it's really simple, and just kind of going through that and help build kind of a professional growth plan for you. And maybe it can inform some future career decisions, whether you want to going to be an administrator, or like I said, maybe education isn't where you're supposed to be, and that's okay. Maybe we can encourage other folks who should be in education by that. And then the long-term benefit of just, again, equipping you with self-awareness that's going to guide your professional development throughout your career, which we think is really important. Think about it as a whole. So back to Laura. Laura discovered her genius was in nurturing relationships and creating engaging lesson plans. However, she was weighed down by all the administrative tasks, right, which is a thing that cannot be removed, right? And the pressure to meet test scores, which again, outside of her control. And so no wonder she felt disconnected from her purpose, because when she took the assessment, she learned those things and went to her administration. Again, this is a fictional story, but just to give you a frame of mind, she shared her expertise in nurturing relationships and creating lesson plans, along with her struggles with the admin tasks and the pressure to meet scores. So she had a conversation, and the admin created a plan to have a more supportive environment for her. Some of the administrative tasks were reassigned to more competent staff members. I don't know if that's possible, but this next part was really neat. A mentorship program was introduced, allowing her to guide new teachers using her gift of nurturing skills, a mentorship program. And they also encouraged her to lead workshops on creating engaging lesson plans. So it opened up the door for her to provide professional development for other teachers and share her expertise with fellow educators. And the admin actually reevaluated the school's focus on test scores and making student growth, skill development, and the well-being of their students be more prioritized. Again, you can't control what the state requires of you for state testing and things like that, but maybe there's some things inside your school that can be readjusted or at least considered. And so these changes allowed Laura to focus on her strengths and reignite her love for teaching, creating a more fulfilling and balanced uh, work-life balance for her and other educators in the school. And she's thriving and feels like she's making a real impact, all thanks to uncovering her natural talents. Again, this was a fictional story. This is not a utopia, la la land, but I think it's a real thing that could happen if you're struggling right now or just looking to see, you know, get some more self-awareness of who you are. Maybe you lost that a little bit. If it had an impact on me in my work, I know it will have an impact on you in your work in education. So what's next is you'll receive a discount code, 20% off the $25 fee there is. There'll be a link to take that. We're here to assist you. This is going to be built into Future Ready Educators, future networking opportunities around this. That's what FRE is for, and also more training opportunities. So stay tuned for that, for some different workshop and session ideas. And we'd love to do something with your team. So if you're interested and would love to discover or explore, hey, what would it look like to come in for a day of professional development, talking about working genius? That's my passion, is doing that and introducing how broadcasting and digital media and entrepreneurship and technology can inspire and help your students grow. But you've got to understand yourself first and see if you have the right team to be able to integrate some of those things. So that's kind of where we're at, how this all fits together in my invention mind. Also, we've got a great training coming up. Michelle, I know you're already RSVP to this, so thank you. But elevating your live stream and in-venue experience. So if you're watching the recording, that's going to be next week, I believe. Yeah, a week from today. Eric will be leading that. Excited to offer these learn and grow events. If you guys have any questions on Working Genius, again, an email will be sent here shortly for those that did register but couldn't attend live with that discount code, and would love to follow up with you. If you've got any questions on that, you can shoot me a direct message in the FRE community or reply to the email. So thank you guys so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learn something new about the Working Genius. Hope it was valuable and sparked some insights for you and brought you a ton of value, and encourage you to share this with your colleagues as well. So thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time.